Hi, my name's Hannah, and I'm on Hostfully's onboarding team. I wanted to walk through today going through and checking all of your main settings at the property level. This is an important step to do before you go live because Hostfully is going to be your new source of truth once you're live with the channel, meaning anything on Hostfully's page under these main settings and other areas will push over to your channels and be the source of truth. So I'm here. I went to my drop-down menu, selected properties, and I picked on one of the properties here, and we're going to walk through some of these fields to go over what you want to double check and what some of these fields might mean. A little deeper dive. Whether you're new to Hostfully and you've already imported and added your properties, or you're an existing Hostfully member, it's always good to go through here and know what each of these fields means and where it's going. A couple things to take note is to keep an eye on these channel-specific icons next to these fields. These are going to indicate that these are Airbnb or Booking.com required fields and that that's the channel that that's specific to. Additionally, you'll see these little I dots next to some of these fields. These are information dots that are going to give you little tips, tricks, or hints on exactly what this field is being used for. So walking through, you have your property type, listing type. Right here, this property name, this little info dot's going to indicate that this is just your internal name, not your public name. So when you go to that landing page on your property settings, this is what you'll see. Your public name that'll get pushed out to the channels is going to be under descriptions. This internal thumbnail is more like a spotlight photo that you can use for your messaging. It's not anything specific to a channel. So we normally just recommend putting one of your spotlight photos there that you want to use for emailing down the road or your direct booking website. Awesome. So next is pricing. So this is going to depend on whether you're using a dynamic pricing tool or if you're going to be doing pricing manually. If you're going to be doing pricing manually, you'll want to come in here and put your base night price. Hostfully does have some really great tools that you can use. We have another video where we dive into fees and policies that'll go into different ways where you can utilize this weekend rate adjuster or pricing period. But just getting these data entries entered in, including your taxes, Airbnb will continue to collect and remit all of your taxes if they are already. However, when you connect with Hostfully or any other PMS with Verbo, you now become the merchant of record, meaning that you will be responsible to process all of your payments and you'll be responsible to collect and remit your taxes. And this will also be the case for direct booking websites as well. So what you'll need to do is come up with your tax amount. And then again, these little handy info dots will let you know that this field is not going to push to Airbnb because ideally Airbnb is already collecting and remitting your taxes. So right here, for example, if the tax for this area is 6%, if I put 6% here, this will only get charged to my non-Airbnb channels, such as Verbo, direct booking, and so on. Security deposit with Airbnb, they don't let you collect security deposits. You still have to go through the resolution center as they'll still be processing your payments. But because with Verbo and direct booking, you will now be processing your own payments, you can do a security deposit. So you would enter the amount here, and you are responsible to manually refund them after each stay. But we do have ways where we can help remind you with templates and triggers to refund that. So this field, again, is not going to go out to Airbnb. Your cleaning field, this is your cleaning fee, and this will get pushed to all channels. So this is whatever cleaning fee you would like to charge for your guests for all channels you'll be connecting to. And with taxes, if your state requires a service tax, you would need to tax your cleaning here in this field, again, where this field will not go to Airbnb. So in this situation, the $200 will get sent to my Airbnb guests, but the tax rate won't because Airbnb should be collecting and remitting the taxes for this property. Some of these are self-explanatory, entering in the number of floors. You can change it from feet squared to meters squared. These are all Airbnb specific fields that you'll have to go through. Be sure to double check your cancellation policy and making sure that's accurate. Some Booking.com fields down here. Great. You have your minimum night stay, your maximum night stay, and then we do offer a minimum weekend stay. Here under your bedrooms, there's a handy tool here where you can set your bedrooms. So on Airbnb and Verbo, where people can walk through where they'll be sleeping, like where the beds are in each room, you can come in here and set that up. So in the common space, we have a sofa bed. And we can set room 1, let's say, has a king size bed and a private bath. We can put room 2 having a bunk bed. Room 3, we can put a queen size bed and a private bath. And if we wanted to in the living room indicate that there's a sofa or a couch, whatever you'd like to count as a bed, go ahead and hit save. And any changes will directly change the number of beds that are shown here in this field. Base, max, and extra guest fee. So base guest isn't necessarily minimum guest. It's the amount that is included with the nightly rate for this guest. So included with my nightly rate includes 8 guests. However, maybe your property, you could allow up to 12 or 14 guests. So with this setup, if I set 8 for my base and 12 for my max, that means guests 9, 10, 11, and 12 will be charged an additional $10 per guest per night fee. So it's the difference between max and base that you can charge an additional fee. If you don't wish to charge any additional fees, you can just make these two numbers the same, or you can just make sure that you put a 0 here under extra guest fee. Booking window is how far out you want your guests to be able to see and rent your house. Turnover days is how long you need to clean it. 0 would indicate that between checkout and check-in, you're turning over that unit. Booking lead time is the time between when a reservation can be made and when a stay can begin. So this is based off your check-in time. So if my check-in time was, let's say, 3 p.m., and I set this to 0, that means that up until 3 p.m. that same day, if the house is available, it'll show up on my channels as available and bookable. I could even set a negative number. So if my house is available and my check-in is at 3 and I set a -3, that means up until 6 p.m. that same day, I would allow somebody to check in and see the house available. Going on to the next column here, it's just your address information, check-in end time, check-out time. I would enter in your Wi-Fi network and Wi-Fi password. That'll help later on as you automate some of your check-in instructions to the guests. And then this bottom option here for percent at reservation and collect balance at, this is for the channels that you'll be using your payment processor for. So Vrbo, direct booking, not for Airbnb again, because Airbnb is still going to cancel or collect your payments the way that they already are. This is going to be for the properties that you're using like Vrbo or direct booking your payment processor for. So you can now control how you want to collect your payments. So for those channels, you can ask for 50% at reservation and collect balance at 2 weeks out. Or you could set it to 100% at reservation. And this is going to ask the guest to pay 100%. If you were to say 50% at reservation and collect balance 14 days out, anyone who books less than 14 days out will automatically be asked to pay 100% of the booking. And make sure that you don't make the same mistake I've made before and scroll down to the bottom and hit update property to save all of the changes. All right, and we're going to go to the next tab over for description. So these are going to be all the descriptions that will show up on the channels. Again, noticing these handy little icons that will indicate which channel that these fields will push out to. So this is the public name for Airbnb. It'll also show up on direct booking website, which is that little icon with the H and the roof over it. Anything that says for Hostfully will reference your out-of-the-box direct booking website, booking.com, and Marriott. This short description here shows that this is going to work with Hostfully, Marriott, and that this is also your description. Your short description is your public name for Vrbo, and it does have a 20-character minimum. So go ahead and put your short description there. You have your long description, all these other handy places. Wherever you see the icon for your channel, we recommend putting something there. And then make sure you scroll to the bottom and hit save when making any changes. All right, same with amenities. We recommend coming in here and going through all of these amenities, giving yourself as much credit as you deserve for your property. So make sure that you're selecting if you have cable TV, if you have Wi-Fi, fenced yard, smoke detector, just anything that applies to your property. This would have imported if you imported from Airbnb, but some of these fields may apply to different channels. So make sure you're going through and selecting all that apply. Also, make note that if you do allow pets at your property, to come down here and be sure that allow pets is selected. You can add custom amenities here on the side all you want. You can put as many as you desire, but this will only show up on your direct booking website. Any of the amenities inside these boxes here were approved for specific channels to get pushed out, but for your direct booking website, you don't need approval and you can put whatever you want as a custom amenity. Photos. All of your photos when you imported from Airbnb should show up here. If you manually entered them or you're wanting to add photos, you can come in here, add photo, and upload the photos you'd like. You can also move the photos around in different orders by just grabbing with this little fist here and pulling it around. Pricing will look different depending on how you're doing your pricing. If you're using a dynamic pricing tool, you simply need to follow the directions in our help articles on how to connect that dynamic pricing tool into Hostfully, and your pricing will be managed through your dynamic pricing tool. So for example, if you're using Price Labs or Beyond Pricing or Wheelhouse, you would go into those channels, manage your pricing, and the pricing from those channels will push into Hostfully, and then Hostfully will push them to all the channels you're connected to. If you're doing your pricing manually and in Hostfully, you will manage your pricing here at the property level, and then the pricing that's in here in Hostfully will push to all of your channels. So you only need to do your pricing in one place. We'll have a whole video on pricing and fees and policies, but this is specific pricing for this property. So you can see the base night price that I set, and then I also put a 10% weekend rate adjuster, so it is automatically increasing my weekend rates at 10%. I can drag and drop these dates and edit these pricings manually here. So for this week, maybe I wanted to increase it, and I could increase the nightly stay and hit save, and it'll change those days to orange to indicate that I've changed those dates. Great. Fees and policies. This is a section where you can add any add-on fees and some additional policies. So on the left here, we have all of the ability to add fees. So it depends on what you're looking to add. So for this property, let's say we wanted to add a guest insurance fee. I can go through here and I'm going to type in guest insurance. I can put the fee value. The value can be either $1 or %. So for this, I'm going to charge an additional $13. And I want that to go to all of my channels I'm connected to. So we're going to select the mapping type. And these are the approved mapping types at a channel specific level. Again, paying attention to those icons next to each field. So this is indicating that this is our Airbnb mapping type. And they won't all have the same verbiage. So you do have to pick which best fits the description for this fee. So for this, on my insurance fee, I'm going to call it a management fee. For Verbo, we can call it seeing if they have it yet. Okay, let's call this an administrative fee. Booking.com. We can call this a resort fee. And for apply to Hostfully is for my direct booking website. So I'm just going to hit yes, and it will call it the name that I wrote at the top here. You can put if this is an item you would like to tax. And there is the option to mark this as optional. Just note that anytime you mark a fee as optional, for Airbnb, it won't go through. So we can't mark optional fees. For those, you have to go through the Resolution Center. We'll make an additional video on fees and policies and pets to go over if you're looking to add a pet fee, because those are a little bit more complex. But now I'm going to add this fee, and it will show up down here. And it'll tell you which channel this is all getting sent to. So you can manage your fees on the left. If you don't have any fees, that's fine. You can include all of your fees in the additional nightly rate. Under cancellation policy, this is your cancellation policy for your direct booking website. So you can put whatever you would like there. And then this is where you put your house rules for Airbnb and direct booking. So you can put them line by line. They did not import with your property, so you'll have to copy and paste what you have in Airbnb if you have one already. So you can copy your whole policy here. Once you hit add rule, it will look like the rule disappeared, but it actually just is down here now saved forever. So these are now the rules that I'll have for this property specifically. So those are the main tabs you'll want to go over. These back tabs are important, but they require a few more steps with your service provider. You can create one owner portal per property. Then you have notes that you can provide for your booking cleaners or owners that aren't going to be guest facing. You can manage your reviews outside of Hostfully and rental conditions. These are the rental conditions that'll be done at the property level. There's also a place at the agency settings. Your rental conditions are your terms and conditions between yourself and your guests. So you can have one rental condition that covers all of your properties, like an umbrella coverage, or you can have rental conditions that are property specific. So if you have property specific rental conditions, those would go here. And save the rental conditions. That is required for all Vrbo users to have something in the rental conditions. It's also what the guests will have to agree to the terms and conditions and proceed. If you're a pro or premier customer, they'll also be required to sign these. So this is where you would enter those. And then at this time, you can just go back and make sure that you do all of these steps for each of your properties to make sure that whatever's here in Hostfully is ready to become guest facing, so you can flip those switches and go live with those properties, knowing that all of the data that you've entered has been looked at and will be correct. If you have any questions and you're in onboarding, feel free to reach out to your onboarding rep, or if you are no longer in onboarding, you can also reach out to support@hostfully.com. Thanks.